It's homecoming weekend at Western University. The campus sits smack in the middle of London North Centre, one of the most hotly contested ridings in the country. But on this day, forget politics, the focus is on football. The home crowd's happy. Their Mustangs run roughshod over the Carlton Ravens, a one-sided victory, 70-14. As for the political contest here, everyone expects it will be a whole lot closer. In 2011, Susan Troupe became the first Conservative to win London North Centre. She serves as Parliamentary Secretary for the Status of Women and is fighting for re-election against a strong anybody-but-Conservative campaign.
Well, this election is about the economy and the security, and it's about choosing a leader who will represent Canada. Under Stephen Harper's watch, we've balanced the budget, we're lowering taxes, we won't have a deficit, and he's clearly the right choice.
Hello, everybody. Robbie, how's it going? See you guys. Good, thanks for coming this afternoon.
Peter Fragoskatos has a PhD from Cambridge, teaches political science at King's College, and volunteers at several local charities. He's trying to win back the seat for the Liberals.
After 10 years of Stephen Harper, Canadians are looking for a change. Londoners are looking for a change. We're speaking to them. We're out there engaging with them. This community has been hit with an economic downturn. We're ready to bring it back.
And if you have an apartment building, I'm going to give you one of these.
As volunteers get briefed on how to canvass, the NDP candidate, Herman Gutierrez, quietly thanks them for helping.
Thank you for being here. Thank you so much for coming.
The Colombian-born journalist, now a local college professor, ran third in the last election, but likes his chances better this time.
They're excellent because we stand on principles and we stand on the idea that government should be of the people, with the people, and for the people. And we don't believe in governments that work for businesses, foreign corporations. We work with people for people. And people need us. And Canada needs us.
Western sits at the heart of a riding that has long thrived on two staples of a student diet, cereal and beer. Labatt's began brewing here in 1847. Owned now by a Belgian company, its downtown brewery is still a going concern. But the giant Kellogg's plant is empty now. After a century of cereal making, it was shut down last year, putting 500 people out of work. The riding is also the birthplace of London Life, the linchpin of an insurance industry that contributed to the city's wealth. The population of London North Centre is 118,000. It sprawls from working-class neighbourhoods in the south, past the university, to well-off neighbourhoods in the north. The average family income is $95,000, just about the national average.
There's downtown people who may be more left-leaning, you can sort of see that in the lawn signs. But when you get out to the suburbs, that's Tory country, that's the hockey dads and everything like that. So, it really is a good mix. One of the things about London, it's a classic test center. It's a beta market. This goes back decades that companies have come in and test marketed their products. Tim Hortons is test marketing their new coffee here right now. So London is very typical, and this riding in particular is very typical of the nation, and I think that's why it really will be an interesting, microcosm of the election in general.
After this riding was formed in 1997, the Liberals won 5 straight elections and 1 by-election. It even stayed red as others nearby turned blue when Stephen Harper won his first 2 minorities. But the winning streak ended abruptly in 2011. Liberal support fell, the NDP gained, and Conservative Susan Troupe snuck up the middle to score an upset victory by 1,600 votes. As she tries to do it again, there are efforts on the left to prevent the vote splitting that helped the Conservatives win last time. The NDP dreams of a breakthrough in what has always been unfriendly territory, but given the riding's history, the Liberals seem the best bet to challenge the incumbent. Susan, the two opposition parties think this is one of the most vulnerable Conservative ridings in Ontario, perhaps even in the country. Do you feel like you're campaigning with a target on your back?
I suppose everybody feels like they're campaigning with a target on their back in some way or another, but no, actually things have been really good at the doors, and I really haven't noticed a change, a negative change since the last election.
Mm-hmm. When you won last time, the Liberal vote collapsed mostly to the NDP, and you basically snuck up in the middle and won with about the same vote that the Conservative candidate got in the previous election. Do you need the vote to split that way again to have a really good chance of being re-elected?
Splitting the vote is always helpful, for any candidate, but I would say that certainly, in this riding, I mean, we have good support in the riding, and I've been here for 4.5 years now, so people know me a little better, and they know I've worked very hard for this riding.
There's a group in here, an Anybody But Harper group, an offshoot of Lead Now, which is trying to persuade people to vote for the opposition candidate who has the best chance of beating you. Does that make the fight harder?
One would think it would make it harder, but to be quite honest, when I go door to door, people are leery at answering their doors, even from registered candidates. So for some strange person to go door to door and say, don't vote for Susan or don't vote for the Conservative government, I don't think that's going to have a lot of effect.
When people talk about change, what is the argument you make that they shouldn't?
You mean if someone asks me or says, it's about
thinking about voting Liberal or NDP, what's your pitch?
Well, you know what? If they're thinking about voting Liberal or NDP, I'm glad you asked me that, because my pitch is this. I say, just so you know, with our government, we have the low tax plan. We've never raised taxes since 2006. We've reduced them 200 times for businesses and individuals. So at the end of the day, you'll have more money. If you vote for the Liberals and the NDP, they want to raise the taxes, they want to put a carbon tax, and that's a carbon tax on everything. Some people think it has to do with cars, and I explain it to them. No, it's a carbon tax on everything. So you will have less money in your pocket at the end of the day. And that pretty much solidifies it. They understand the difference between the parties.
Peter, last election, the Liberal vote collapsed. A lot of it went to the NDP. The Tories snuck up the middle. How do you get that Liberal support back?
Well, you go out and speak to people, and you put forward a platform that identifies with their needs. Most Canadians are in the middle class. They're working hard to join the middle class. And if you have a platform that speaks to those needs, then you're going to get those people to support you again. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. But you need to stop that kind of vote splitting to win. You have to, it's essential, right, that you don't let the vote be split again.
Well, certainly there are calls out there to make sure that we move beyond Mr. Harper. Vote splitting is an issue, but you have to earn the vote. You can't simply tell people that there's only two options. You have to earn the vote. And what we're doing is knocking on doors. We're going out, we're meeting with people, we're listening to their issues, and we're putting forward a platform that speaks to their needs, whether it's cutting taxes for the middle class, whether it's providing families with young kids with a tax-free child benefit that's geared towards not wealthy families, but families who actually need the support, and investing in infrastructure, which we really need right now to get out of the decline that we're in. We haven't seen significant investments in infrastructure in this country since the 1960s, and our party's put forward a plan that will grow the economy and not lead to any cuts. We will balance the budget in 2019. People understand that. Are deficits ideal? No, but when you have a declining economy on your hands, you have to be prepared to make the difficult choices on a policy angle that says, we are prepared to run a small deficit for 3 years to get out of the rut that we're in so people can have opportunities again. So
are you getting any blowback on that Trudeau promise to run deficits when the other two parties are promising balanced budgets?
No, you know what? People understand that the economy is not doing well and that we have to do something different. We need a bold vision. We have to be ambitious. We have to have an ambitious vision for the country. People are responding very, very well to Mr. Trudeau's plan on the infrastructure policy that we've announced. And as I've said, we'll balance the budget, but in 2019, because if we're going to balance it now with a declining economy, that means revenues are not coming in. The only way to make a balanced budget in that kind of context is to make cuts, and we are not going to make cuts. That's what the other parties are calling for. We're not going to do that. In a declining economy, you can't burden folks with more austerity.
Herman, you're an underdog. This isn't really strong NDP country.
It is not right now, but it's going to be carried by an orange wave very soon.
Is that orange wave strong enough, you think, to overcome the kind of leads you have to overcome?
Well, there's always that in the sport of going forward with the wave right behind you. You might get that big tsunami, and then it'll carry you away inland.
Mm-hmm. This is a classic case, this riding of vote splitting. Last time, a lot of Liberal votes went to you, some went to the Tories, and the Conservatives snuck up the middle.
Yes.
That seems to be the same kind of scenario that you might see again.
It is certainly a strategy that is perhaps being planned by the Conservative Party, and it looks like they would be working that kind of strategy. There are a lot of voices. So the vote splitting happens because all kinds of third and fourth party voices are all over the place. There are some political marketeers working to try to get people, to drive people in key directions. I don't believe in that kind of vote. Vote splitting is not a good idea. I believe in the citizen voting from the heart for a clear political position. People vote.
A slight misspeak. It's strategic voting, not vote splitting, that Gutierrez doesn't like. He dismisses groups like Lead Now that suggest voting for the candidate, in this case the Liberal, that has the best chance to beat the Conservatives.
I would tell them the following. Right now, the NDP is the official opposition. We have a group of seats that almost triples that of the Liberal Party, who is in the third party right now. The party that has the clearest shot at making a majority government, strong enough to down Mr. Harper, is the NDP.
Now, as people decide which candidate has the best chance of beating the Conservative, obviously they're also looking at which leader they like best. What are you hearing at the doors when people talk about Mulcair versus Trudeau?
There is a great preference for the kind of things that Mr. Mulcair has said very clearly in terms of Bill C-51. That has been a key issue in the minds of here in London North Centre.
The security bill.
A lot of people are speaking about Bill C-51, Bill C-54, and Mr. Mulcair's principled and very clear stance that we will repeal that and it should not happen. There's also been a lot of speech about the $15 a day childcare. People have loved that, and they get the idea very clearly, even though there have been attempts at derailing on the assumption that it wouldn't work from the budget point of view. It works.
I'm Carol Dick for the Green Party,
yeah,
London North Centre.
You were very thoughtful and very articulate, and I think you stand for.
Where did you hear me speak?
At the rally of the First Nations.
Oh!
Yeah.
Carol Dick is trying to build back the Greens. In a 2006 by-election, party leader Elizabeth May finished second here with 26% of the vote, but it's been downhill ever since.
Excuse me, can I please introduce myself? I'm Carol Dick, London North Centre.
Sorry.
No,
okay. Not a million years. Good luck, though.
Thank you.
What makes you think you can build the party's presence again?
I think that things have really changed in the country, and I think that the fact that Elizabeth May won in her riding shows that there is a change and that people want to see green policies enacted here. Now, for this riding, I think, after we've just had 4 years of the Conservatives, I think that people realize that that was not the direction that they wanted to see the country go. and I can build the profile. A lot of the platform that we have in the Green Party meets the values of a lot of Canadians, and I see that when I'm talking to local citizens here, that they agree with the things Elizabeth May says, and they agree with the way she presents herself when she's at the debates. And so I'm a voice of that same system, and I think that I can raise up our profile here in the city. I'm just going to put these down here for a second. There's no endorsement.
But as she shops for vegetables at London's farmers market, Dick hears it again, that she should drop out of the race so her supporters can help a candidate with a better chance to beat Troupe.
Come on!
I heard a lot of that. Have you read my article that I put out? Yes, I know. You're part of
what are you telling her?
That I should drop out.
I'm an ABC voter.
Yeah, you're an ABC. So he would have me drop out so that, obviously, the Conservatives won't win. Yes.
I don't want that.
I know that. And I understand that, but honestly, I think that me pulling out isn't going to help things at all.
How do you react to that?
Well, I think that that is a really flawed assumption. Right now, we've got 35% for the Liberals and 35% for the Conservatives, according to the Vote Together poll that they did. Now, they assume that if I drop out, 100% of my votes would then go to the Liberals. Well, that's a completely flawed assumption. When I go and talk to people, they're often trying to decide between the NDP and me. So even if they were to pull out, I think we'd still get some that would go for the NDP and some that would go for the Liberals. And the NDP are too far behind that they won't win. But they're not in that margin yet where people would say, well, you should drop out too. And the NDP aren't going to run out. And I honestly think that it's an affront on democracy to ask people to strategically remove themselves. That's limiting our information, and it's limiting our pool of candidates that are out there that can look at things from different sides.
The abandoned Kellogg's plant looms over the election here, a symbol of factory closures that have devastated the industrial heartland of southwest Ontario.
We'll call it even.
Myrna Allen worked at Kellogg's for 28 years.
Then the plant closed, and it was devastating to a lot of people. There's myself, even on this street, if you just look at the street, the people across, the kid across the street was there for 10 years. About 10 houses down, he's there for 35 years. Around the corner, another 30-year employee. It's just very devastating, and I don't feel that that the government supported industry in southwestern Ontario, and that's why we're losing it.
So has that affected how you're going to vote?
Absolutely. I will. Absolutely not. Sorry, I'm giving you a break.
Okay.
I will absolutely not vote for the current government. There's no way. I would rather throw my vote away to a party that I know isn't going to get in than vote for a Conservative. So it's ABC, anything but Conservative. Right now, I'm kind of torn between the Liberals and the Democrats.
Knocking on doors, you meet the people who have lost their jobs. At Kellogg's, for example, some of them have found new jobs, working at Labatt's, for example, locally here, but many have not found, employment since, and they have families, and those families want food on the table, and they want those parents who have lost their jobs want to make sure their kids have opportunities going forward, and those opportunities in a declining economy aren't there, and we're convinced that an infrastructure investment policy combined with tax cuts for the middle class and further supports for those who are working hard to join the middle class will have an immediate impact on London and the country as a whole.
But Troupe touts a multi-billion-dollar deal for General Dynamics in a neighboring riding to build armored vehicles for Saudi Arabia. Proof, she says, that things are looking up for Londoners.
They're actually better off right now. Last year, I think the unemployment rate was 8.6 or 8.9, and I think now it's 6.2 or 6.5. So our unemployment rate, London unemployment rate, is going down. It's huge. And GDLS had the multi-$13 billion announcement that they made, and that was because of Stephen Harper and Minister Fass. That they solidified the they solidified the deal for them, and that would keep 1,300 jobs in London, as well as hire more, plus all the suppliers in the southwestern Ontario. That was a huge announcement that was made, but that was only done because of our Prime Minister and Minister Fast.
How are you?
As Fragascatos goes door to door, he's trying to rally the anti-Harper vote to the Liberal cause.
Thank you very much for the support. We'll get a sign on your lawn today. Really appreciate it.
There we go.
I want to leave this with you, and I'm asking for your support on October the 19th.
You have my support. There's no problem there.
Thank you. I'm so happy to hear that.
Yeah, no.
But the NDP's Gutierrez is chipping away at what Liberals see as a strength, but he sees as their weak spot, their leader.
Let's say this, Mr. Trudeau, and I've seen the case in other nations, is a person who in a few years will make a formidable opponent. At the moment, he is a person who is in his years of formation, and we should give him a chance.
You're saying what the Tories do. He's not ready?
I wouldn't speak with the Tory language. I just will tell you, things have a time and a place. And I'm just saying that Mr. Trudeau still needs a little bit more warming up to his time and his place.
Justin Trudeau is ready, and he's proven himself to be ready by the platform he's put forward, Roger. It's a strong platform, it speaks to Canadians' needs, and we're incredibly proud of what it offers. You know, growing the economy, an economy that's in decline, by focusing on investing in infrastructure, cutting taxes for middle-class families, and offering further supports for those working hard to join the middle class, supports that aren't there right now.
Despite all the talk of change, Troupe finds support for her leader, too.
Well, I used to vote Liberal years ago, and then I finally changed my mind. I decided I just preferred, I found the Team Harper and the Conservatives being proud to be Canadian. I found that was sort of missing before. So I felt a new sense of patriotism and a new love for Canada, thanks to the Conservatives and their stand on many issues. So.
Oh, isn't that great? Yeah. It's really nice to hear that.
Yeah.
For all candidates, there's a ready pool of young voters, 36,000 students at Western alone. Trouble is, many don't vote. The turnout for 18 to 24-year-olds in the last election was just 39%, compared to 61% overall.
Are you going to vote in the election?
For Western? Or?
For the federal election.
Well, I haven't really thought about it, no.
Are you going to vote in the federal election?
Probably not. I don't, I'm not very politically educated. I don't know much about, like, political parties and what they're, what they stand for and what each candidate is, for. So I feel like I'm not educated enough to make a decision.
Why do you think so few young people vote? The voter turnout is so much lower than the rest of the population.
Because they don't really think it matters in, like, the big scheme of things. Like, one vote won't make a difference.
When do you think that clicks in, that it does matter?
I don't know. When they start making an income and stuff and it actually starts affecting them more.
I think one of the big reasons is that there isn't necessarily a connection that the candidates will deliberately make with students, and it becomes a vicious cycle where students aren't engaged and don't vote, therefore candidates don't necessarily see the value in seeking out students to vote, and it goes on and on.
Lindsay Perkins is leading student council efforts to get more kids to the polls.
Western is part of a pilot project with Elections Canada to set up satellite polls, or they're calling them pop-up polls, on the campus, I think even before the advanced polls. What is that all about?
So the satellite poll allows for anyone within the community, a student, staff member, whoever it may be, to vote for either their home riding or the riding that they're currently in, so this London riding. And they can make that choice. So they don't have to go back to where they're originally from, if it's Vancouver or Alberta or maybe just outside of the GTA. They don't have to make that trek to vote in that riding if they prefer to do so.
What other efforts is the University Student Council making to encourage students to vote?
Sure. So this year we've created a Western Votes campaign. So this started last year with the municipal campaign that was going on, and we thought it would be great to keep pushing it forward for the federal election this year. So what we're doing is, starting next week, we've created videos we're pushing out to students to see why they should be voting, the importance of voting, and trying to get them engaged in the conversation about what it means to be a voter in Canada. And that week it's going to be called My Vote Matters campaign. So just really making students understand the importance of doing so. And over social media we'll be talking about all the different things that are going on with the different parties to ensure that people are being informed about the issues that are going on in Canada currently.
Western is also organizing an all-candidates debate, though Susan Troupe has declined, and she was also a no-show for a debate at Huron College.
Does that hurt your attempt to get students on side?
No, I don't think so. I mean, it's one debate. We were invited to probably 12 to 14 back in August. My campaign manager and myself and the team made a decision, we sent a press release out to everyone that had invited us to decline or accept, and we accepted media, radio and TV were the ones that we accepted. I mean, we spend our nights knocking at the door, probably 200 to 250 doors a night, we do. So, no, I don't think that hurts at all.
The Liberal NDP candidate and I are all participating in the debates that are happening at Huron, University College, King's College, and Western. The Conservative candidate is not attending these up till now, and I think that that's a really big mistake because they are not interacting with the youth. They're not asking the youth questions, and they're not letting the youth actually ask them questions. And this is a real problem because you're not building up your base, you're not making politics accessible to young people. And I think it's important to have the entire platform out there, everyone putting their views forward so that you have more information sharing and more dialogue. When we have these debates and you have the NDP and the Liberals and the Green and we're fundamentally agreeing on all issues and we keep saying, well, but the Conservatives don't believe this, there is no voice there for the Conservatives to stand up and say, well, this is what we've got. And it's just giving part of the message each time. That's not acceptable.
Still, many students are determined to vote.
Are you going to vote in the election?
Yeah, I will.
Decided who you're going to vote for?
Not entirely. Not Stephen Harper, though.
How about you?
I think I'm going to vote for Justin Trudeau, or for the Liberal Party.
I'm going to vote.
Do you know who for?
I'm still debating. I have to read up on it a little bit more, but I'm thinking maybe NDP or Liberal.
Who are you going to vote for and why?
I plan to vote for Harper, actually. Why? I think he has a pretty good track record, and considering the circumstances, I think he's done a pretty good job.
Have you decided how you're going to vote?
I'm pretty private, actually, about that, but I have decided, yeah, how I'm going to vote.
Any hints?
A very attractive son of a former politician might be a hint.
It's certainly, from what polling I've seen, very tight, almost dead heat between the Liberal Peter Fragastakos and the current Tory MP Susan Troupe. This is really, I suspect it'll be a bit of a nail-biter unless something happens between now and Election Day to have one of them pull ahead. And likely, unless there's a real NDP sweep across Ontario, we think the Liberals have the best chance of knocking off the Tories in London North Centre.
Troupe was a surprise, sort of upset winner last time.
Yes.
Has she done anything as an MP in 4 years that would give her that little extra edge in a tight race?
She's been relatively low profile. She hasn't made any gaffes or mistakes that would set her back. But she's been a backbench MP, and she certainly has contributed to local organizations, presented checks. She gave a big one to the on behalf of to fight domestic violence recently, and that certainly was a good boost for the community. But I wouldn't call her high profile by any stretch of the imagination. I think to a certain extent the local candidates are only a small factor. I think if the Liberals surge ahead nationally, they will take this riding. If the Tories do the same, Troupe will be re-elected.
In a riding that both predicts and reflects national trends, the outcome is a lot more uncertain than that one-sided football game. For CPAC, I'm Roger Smith in London North Centre.